city starting over ain't as easy as they make it on TV.
A lot of times, like I said, I write from experience. And so for me, honestly, things have been going really good in my life. So I haven't been able to channel that same sadness that I normally do when I write, because usually I write about a really heavy experience I had, or like a really painful thing I went through. But things have been going really good. And so I've been trying to write more upbeat, happy songs, but those are harder for me to finish because I'm not used to writing that way.
Well, okay. In saying that, you have said more than once,
Yeah,
growing as an artist.
absolutely.
Do you not see this as another transition period?
Always.
To grow more as an artist?
I feel like if you're not viewing everything you put out or everything you write as a next step, you're doing something wrong. You should never be finished.
Dying in my 20s.
All right, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Two Beers with the Band. I'm your host, Chris Schramm, and today I've finally been able to nail down Miss Makenna Stam
Woo!
for an interview. We have been friends for a while,
Yeah.
but between both of us having crazy schedules, it just
Always.
doesn't work out to have a sit down. But we were finally able to nail it. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started.
Let's do it.
Let's have you tell your fans
Yeah.
a little bit about you, and maybe the listeners that don't know you, what should they expect?
Wow, okay. Well, first of all, I'm just so excited to be here. Like you said, we've been friends for a while. I used to give you your coffee in the morning, and
Right.
I'm here talking to you on a podcast, which is super cool. But yeah, my name is Makenna Stam. I'm a singer-songwriter here in Nashville, and I'm just excited to be here and kind of talk a little bit about my life here and what's taken to get to this point so far, and drink some beer with you. I'm really excited.
That's actually perfect, because that's what I want to hear. I want to hear about what it's like to be you.
Yeah,
and
it's a lot.
well, that's what this podcast is about. It's about finding out what it really takes.
Yeah.
For you individually to go from where you were to where you are.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So before we get started, I'm really interested in this beer.
Me too.
That you brought. So
So yeah, I'm not a big beer drinker because I have celiac disease. So I can't drink gluten or have any gluten. And when I found out there's gluten-free beer, I was super excited. I went to the store that you recommended, the one in Mount Juliet.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, "Yeah, we have a whole shelf of gluten-free beer. Go pick some." And I was like, "Amazing!" So we're gonna share some stuff with you today.
Right.
This is one that I've never had, so we're gonna share this together, which I'm excited about.
awesome.
This is Green's gluten-free amber ale. So I don't know anything about beer, so I'm excited to know what that means.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, just real quick.
Yeah.
I've had a few gluten-free beers in the past.
Yeah.
They're not bad.
No, they
Now,
kind of taste like ciders.
Well, actually, you know what? I'm not even going to say anything else, because
Okay.
if that's your opinion of a gluten-free beer,
Yeah.
I think you're going to be surprised.
I'm excited.
So,
Okay, are we cracking it open?
yeah, let's get into
All
it.
right. I want to smell it. Ooh, that like smells like beer. That's normally scary for me, but I'm excited. And it's like foaming like real beer too. That's crazy.
It actually is, believe it or not, real beer.
No, it's just I'm normally not used to that because a lot of times gluten-free beers, they're just like flat and they're very cidery. And so this is a pleasant surprise. It's got like a foam on it and everything.
Well, I tell you, the gluten-free game,
Yeah.
I don't know when the last time you had a, quote, gluten-free beer was.
Yeah,
but
it's been a while.
The game has stepped up. And
Where have I been?
There's some new players they're bringing it.
Yeah.
And just from looking at this beer, I mean, I'm going to let you talk about it first.
I'm excited.
Yeah, so you go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, so far what I'm seeing is it it's foaming and looking like a real beer that you would get like on draft at a restaurant that I would normally be afraid of. But this is certified gluten-free. It's naturally gluten-free. Like all the products are celiac friendly. So this is really exciting. So should we taste it?
Well, I'll tell you what, let's get a sniff.
Okay.
And we'll go from there.
Okay. It smells like, I won't say a dark beer, but it does smell just like when I think of beer, like that's what I'm smelling. And it does have very like, it's very, not quite sweet, but almost like caramelly, very like rich kind of scent to it. I don't know what you're getting.
Well, kind of a rich malty
Yeah.
scent to it.
Which is interesting because there's no malt in it.
Well, I mean,
But
that beer, for me personally,
Yeah.
that is a dark beer.
yeah,
for an
that's
amber ale.
what I was thinking. Yeah.
For those looking on the camera, I
For the viewers at
don't know
home.
how my lighting is showing this beer, but this beer is dark.
It is. I'm surprised.
But it has great head retention.
Yeah.
It's kind of a off-white foamy head,
Mm-hmm.
which is
And it's not quite, it's very like brown. It almost looks like coffee, like in the color.
it does have
Yeah.
Actually, it does have a coffee look to it.
Yeah.
But as far as aroma goes, I'm getting very, very little fruit.
No, it's very just like,
Yeah, it's there, but
it's really subtle.
it is subtle. But the malt that
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting is
Dang.
subtle as well.
I'm just like, keep reading. I'm like, this is gluten-free, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
And the one I brought, hopefully you'll be excited about because my guy was telling me is
Yeah.
100%.
This is the kind that the guy at the store recommended, but they were sold out.
Okay.
And so I'm excited.
All right.
I'm just excited to be here.
All right. All right. Well, let's go ahead and take a sip.
Let's do it.
And give a description, and then we'll get to talking.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, let's do it. Interesting.
Okay, what are you getting?
I like it. Again, this is I I have had real beer once in my entire life and I really enjoyed it. I was super sick, but I did enjoy it. It is tasting it's very smooth, like surprisingly.
Yeah.
I feel like I would my intuition would say that a dark beer would be really bitter, but like it's really smooth actually.
Dark beers tend to be a little bitter, but
Yeah.
when I say dark beers, I'm talking about porters, stouts, things like that.
And it's got kind of a bite in the back of the throat. I don't know if you feel that or not.
Well, I didn't feel that, but
Yeah. I like it.
but the difference is you're going to get something not totally opposite, but you're going to get things off this beer that I'm not because I'm not used to drinking gluten-free beers.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad beer.
No, it's delicious.
I do enjoy this.
I would, outside of this podcast, I think I would crack open one of these after a long day.
Well, it's not the best amber I've had, but it's nowhere close to the worst
Yeah.
that I've had.
We'll take
So,
it.
I mean, it's middle of the road, at least for me. It's smooth. It's medium bodied.
Yeah.
Carbonation is about right. It's about medium carbonation.
Yeah, it's not too
maybe
sparkly.
light to medium carbonation. I am getting a little citrus on it.
At the very end.
Well, I'm getting a little up front.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then I'm getting kind of the malt flavor, which to me is kind of a dark caramel, if that makes sense.
That might be what I'm experiencing by when I say like the bite at the end.
Yeah.
That could be that malt flavor because I'm not used to tasting that at all.
Yeah.
So that might be what I'm tasting.
But I'm getting a little bit of kind of a green hops on the very, very, very end. But now that I think about it, it's kind of I say piney. It is so subtle.
Yeah.
Piney.
It's definitely not a fruity beer. If you're looking for a fruity beer, this is definitely not the one you're going for.
No, but for those who like amber ales, they definitely should try this.
Yeah.
And for those who do the gluten-free thing, I mean, man, that's not a bad beer at all. So.
You don't, and the gluten-free game in general has come super far. And so it's like I know a lot of people that are just not being diagnosed with gluten-free stuff, and it's like you don't have to give up the things you enjoy. They can still taste delicious, you know?
Right.
Yeah, so it's all good.
All right, well, while we finish enjoying this beer.
Yes.
So what have you been up to lately?
A little bit of everything, at least since you last saw me. So for everyone tuning in, Chris and I met because I served him coffee in the mornings at the coffee shop I used to work at. And I did that for many, many years. And we had a good friendship build up from that. But since leaving the coffee shop, I've been doing a lot. Even when I was there, I was doing a lot. Because it truly is. People say that Nashville and just the music industry is a 10-year town. And a lot of people have to do so many things to get there. And so it's like I'm currently working 4 part-time jobs to help fund my creative career.
Right.
And so I've been working at all my jobs. And I have been working on my 3rd album. I'm going to be flying out to Boston at the end of the month to record my 3rd album, and I'm super excited about it.
That is awesome. I've been keeping up on social media with that, and you have been super excited about it. But I guess what I want to know is, all right, I know that current stuff, but you know what's your background? What, you know, as far as start as far back as you want to go, because I think honestly, a lot of people want to know, all right, what led you from when you decided, you know what, first of all, I know you're not from Nashville.
No.
A majority of people are not.
No one is.
I'm a unicorn, as they say. But
that's right.
You know, where are you from?
Yeah.
And kind of, you know, just an abbreviated version of what got you sitting right here today.
Absolutely. So I am from a town called Lynchburg, Virginia. I don't know if you've ever been. But it was small when I was growing up. It's not small anymore. It's a big college town now. And I have always been around music. And it was something that always came naturally and easy for me. And like my parents are musicians. My older brother was always in a band as long as I can remember. And I knew my whole life that music was what I wanted to do. And I've always had this feeling that I was just like, I don't know how, somehow, some way, I'm going to make it happen. And I went to college in my hometown. I went to school all through my hometown. I lived in the same place my whole life. We never moved around. And my parents, they moved around all the time. And so they said, when we have kids, we want them to have a home. And so I had a hometown, never left, went to college in the same town and everything. Right. And I remember I was so afraid of Nashville for the longest time. And I convinced myself that it was because I was one of those people that was like, oh, everyone moves to Nashville to do music. I'm going to do it without Nashville. And I convinced myself that Nashville was the wrong place for me because I knew so many people that had gone out here to do exactly what I was trying to do when they were doing it. Yeah. And I had convinced myself that I was going to be different. And so I was afraid of not being successful by moving. And I remember I got an internship my junior year of college to live in Nashville and work at a recording studio. And I was an artist development major in college. So I studied like how to be an artist and everything that goes into that, the performance, writing, stage presence, all that stuff. And it was a production internship. And so I was just like, I'm going to try something new. And I got my internship. I worked at Omni Sound Studios off of Music Row. And that was when I got bit by the Nashville bug. and I knew that I had to be out here, and nothing was going to stop me from getting out here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I enjoy hearing stories like that. I've been here my entire
Yeah.
life, so what since then?
Yeah.
What have you done to stay here? As far as I know, you're doing music, but what else do you do besides music?
Yeah. So my goal is to make music my full time. I wouldn't even say music is my full time at all. Right now, it's just the stepping stones to get to a career in music. But I work at a restaurant. I work there in the mornings, 3 days a week right now. I'm picking up more hours. And I do that from 10 to 4. And then on the days that I'm not at the restaurant, I'm a vocal teacher. I got that gig recently, and that has been truly the love of my life. Like, I love teaching. I love helping other people realize that they can do it too, and that there is space for everyone. It's not as cutthroat as people think it is. And then I work at the Tennessee Performing Arts Center. I help out with the Broadway shows there and just do that whenever Broadway shows come through. And then I work at the Grand Ole Opry. That is my happy place. It's my favorite place to be. And that's what initially brought me out here for a job, was part-time there.
That's a beautiful place out there.
I love it.
I mean, it just, for anyone who has never been.
You have to go.
Exactly.
Come see me.
Exactly.
I do the backstage tour. Come see me.
Well, out of everything you just mentioned,
Yeah.
I mean, it all sounds so unique.
Yeah.
And it all sounds like you could actually pick, maybe other than the restaurant.
Yeah.
You could pick one of those and make that a career.
Absolutely.
But you choose to, and I heard you mention that vocal coach was just what, I guess, gets you started.
Yeah.
So what do you enjoy more? Do you enjoy the creative aspect of writing, singing, playing music, performing, or do you prefer being a vocal coach? Which one really does it?
They both do in different ways for me, which is why I do both.
Okay.
Because teaching someone and experiencing it are two different things. But what I love is that what I can take from my experience as a performer and as a writer, and I can show other people how to do it the way that I do it, and how it's been helpful and beneficial to me, and how it's given me so many open doors, and how it's helped me be authentic to myself as a performer. If I can show someone that they can do that too, that's just the coolest thing in the world. And my goal is to make music and performing. Like, my dream is to be a full-time artist. Like, that is like everything to me. Like, that would get me out of bed every morning.
Right.
But I love that the reason why I got the teaching gig to begin with was I never ever saw myself as a teacher. I come from a huge line of teachers. I'm one of the first women in my family to not go into teaching. And it's just in me. I can't explain it. But I never saw myself in a classroom setting. I never did super well in school in that sense. And I was like, if I'm ever going to do something like that, I want it to be one-on-one, where I can have a relationship and it can be personal and I can really pour into them. And I was exhausted working so much and not doing anything musically or creative. And I was like, can I find something that not only helps me pay my bills, but gives me another creative outlet to push myself and learn and be better? Then I can also do the same for other people. And that's when I found the studio that I'm working at.
Okay, well, do you feel that there are other artists out there that may be in that same position you were?
Yeah.
And they want to find, they're like you. Everybody's out there.
Yeah.
Working jobs.
I'm a small fish in a big pond.
Right. Well, everybody's. I mean, I'm working 2 jobs plus doing this and trying to make, trying to grow this. one of my jobs I could really do without, but you know, I mean, it's Nashville. It's
You have bills to pay.
exactly.
You can stay up all night and write a song, but you have bills to pay.
So
And I'm trying to find a way to pay those bills by writing songs.
well, you know, and where do you see yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, if you continue, okay, no, I'm not even going to say continue on the same path, but where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah. I love this question. This is a really big question because I don't always like to picture what my life is going to look like in 5 years.
Where do you want to be in
Yeah.
5 years?
I think in 5 years, in a perfect world, I would like to be consistently playing shows, which I play a decent amount of shows now, but I want to, like, my full-time gig is people being like, hey, you want to play XYZ? My dream is to play the Grand Ole Opry. That is my life's goal. Ever since I was a kid, that's what I've always wanted to do.
Okay.
And I think I would be content, which I never want to be content. I always want to keep learning and always keep growing and finding something new to latch onto. But I think I could take a deep breath and say, I'm supposed to be doing this. Like, I've made it, is when I can play that Grand Ole Opry stage, or when I can have a consistent amount of listeners and I'm playing a show and people are singing my songs back to me, which I feel like isn't much to ask for, but it is a lot to ask for in this industry. So I would love to be touring, doing music full time, writing songs for myself, for other people. Like, I've just started getting into songwriting for other people. That's never been something I've been good at. I always write from a very personal place. And so I've been trying to challenge myself lately and write songs for other people and tell stories that aren't mine. And I want to be able to make that my full-time gig and sell my songs and perform and, you know, the Nashville dream.
Okay, well, I guess in that vein,
Yeah.
the songs that you're going to have on your next album.
Yes.
The songs that you currently have out
Yeah.
on, you know, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, wherever, you know, you get your
Anywhere
music.
you can stream. I'm everywhere.
You've written those songs.
Yeah.
So where did the song come from? Did it come from a personal experience? Did it come from experiences you saw other people go through that you kind of felt I need to express this emotion? Or is it maybe a combination of the two? Where do you get the subject matter for your songs? And which, to me, the subject matter of the song, there's individual lyrics and individual lines that seem to make that subject more complete. I guess in my head, it sounds right, but I just can't translate it right now.
I speak Chris. I got you.
Okay. So where does that come from?
Yeah. I have always written songs from my personal experience. Songs have always been my outlet. I have always struggled with sort of always feeling my emotions and processing them. And so whenever I wrote a song, I didn't have to deal with it anymore. I could I could feel the big feeling, put into a song, and it no longer was a part of me. It was on a piece of paper. And so for me, truly every song I've ever written up until, I think my newest album is some of the most personal songwriting I've ever had. But there is also 1 or 2 songs on there that I wrote purely from a fictional perspective because I thought it'd be fun. But all of my music is all from a personal experience. I have a certain person in mind with every single song. My friends all know which people in my life every song is about. Like, I have always been like, I have to be an open book. I want to be honest. And my stories are my life written out.
Okay. Well, so you sing these, you write these songs, you make the album.
Yeah.
And the song, you know, few years down the road, when you're playing at a big venue and everybody wants to hear a certain song, and that song may have 3, 4, 5 years, do you when you sing that song, do you still feel the emotion? Well, maybe, do you still feel the emotion today?
Yeah.
When you sing that song that you wrote however many years ago, when that emotion was up front and just it consumed you to the point of writing a song about it.
Yeah.
And now you've moved on from that situation, be it a relationship, be it you move into Nashville, being
A lot of ex-boyfriends.
well, that, and some of the songs you've written, dying in my 20s.
Yeah.
I listened to the song so many times.
You listen to my music?
Yeah.
Oh, Chris.
And
That's sweet.
I watched the video and I was like,
Oh, yeah.
because what I like to do is I like to listen to music before I watch a video.
Yeah.
Because the music is what the author, be it the singer or someone else, the music is what the song's about.
Exactly.
A video producer could say, you know what, I want to showcase certain skills or certain things. And I'm not saying they take away from the song.
No, but it's kind of like when you watch a movie before you read a book, in the sense of like, I feel like the beauty of reading a book is you can create that picture in your mind and you put yourself into that story. Right. Versus when it's a movie, they've already have it decided for you and you can be like, oh, I never pictured it that way, but okay. It's the same thing.
Well, then, a producer to make a book really shine in a movie theater, sometimes you got to maybe add some things to it or take some things away. And to me, a music video could do the same thing.
I agree.
I prefer to listen to a song and to have my own opinion and maybe even form a video in my head before I go watch the video.
I love that. I do the same thing.
And then, dying in my 20s, I kind of had the video in my mind already.
What did you picture for that song? I'm curious.
Well, to be honest with you, a lot less color.
Yeah.
And I don't know, The Office to me seemed a little busy in the video. And I think maybe that was the point.
Yeah. The Office was representative of my brain.
Right.
my poor ADHD brain. Scattered everywhere.
And I understand that, but at the same time, I think if someone's consuming this song right then for the first time, seeing it on YouTube or wherever they watch the video, I think they might miss something. Yeah. At least for me personally.
No, I love that.
And
because the beauty of a video also is it's totally up to interpretation at the same time too. So I love that you think that way.
Well, I would like to listen to the song and kind of, for me, I want to try to feel what you're feeling. Because then that makes me enjoy the song that much more the next time I hear it.
Yeah.
And then that makes me want to follow you more and get to know your music, get to know you, and, become a fan. The song to me is you. Yeah. The video, I hate to be this way, but the video is the producer or the record label or, somebody who is not you.
Yeah.
You didn't produce that video. I've been in several music videos myself, and we show up. I've never heard the song. The song's not out yet.
Yeah.
And we're making the video for it. And of course, by the end of the shoot, I know the song backwards and forwards.
Exactly.
But, I've been on some sets. I'm like, how'd you put this together?
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Yeah.
But y'all are making the big money. I'm not. So
I'm not making any money, Chris.
Well, I mean, I'm just,
and that video was all entirely self-funded. And I wasn't the main producer, but I had a storyline and vision for it, which I feel like if I was with a label and if I had a budget, it would have been a very different video. But it truly was me and my friends using what we had to kind of get a certain story across. And I have friends of mine that work in film who very generously offered to work on it for free. And so I trusted their opinions over, maybe that's a question of, should the artist have me as the artist in that moment, but said like, no, I think XYZ would have made more sense, or XYZ would have made more sense, versus me just taking my friends' film opinions with a video. But it was my second music video. My first one had gotten funded and recorded, and then the person I was working with, they deleted all the footage and I never heard from them again. So this one I was a little bit more like, I want to just get something out so I have a product so people know I'm capable of doing this. And so I have some ideas in mind for future videos that I definitely want to be more driving the car with that video. I have more ideas that might suit me better. Like you said, the video wasn't very me as an artist, and I agree with you.
Well, how do you, for those who are out there making videos, I follow a guy who it seems like several of his videos, and you can tell they literally said, you know what? Let's just go outside and shoot.
Yeah.
Let's just go outside and play. Let's set up,
Yeah.
and play and just have someone walk around with a camera.
Yeah.
And, lo and behold, I guess they're like, bam, let's throw it up there and see what happens.
Yeah.
And like you say, they're putting product out and they're getting out in front of people.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know what? Maybe I don't have the money to make these big videos.
Yeah.
But right now, I just need to be out there.
Yeah. And that's what I did with that video.
I need to be in people's faces.
Yeah.
I need to, maybe this isn't my best work and maybe it's not me, but once I pull those people in, I can show them me through my music and through clips on social media and things like that. But I need something to get my name out there to get someone to find me.
Absolutely. And I think that this next album of mine, it's all me. Like the song, like all my songs I've written have been all me, but I've had a lot of opinions coming into my early music career that haven't always been my vision, versus this album is 1000% what I want to write, the stories I want to tell, the person, the artist I want to be.
Yeah.
And so for me, like that last album that I did was a very transitional period in my life. I was going through a lot of really tough things, and I just wanted to get the album out. It had been sitting on my computer for 2 years, unfinished. It was all finished. I just needed to physically put it out as an album. Right. And I know that there was a lot of things, especially when it came to that video, that I was like, I just want, like you said, I'm like, I just need it to be out there. I just want to get this done and over with and put that product out. Versus with this next album that I'm doing, like I am meticulously planning out everything with it. And I'm really taking the time to be like, is this the vision that you have? Is this the stories you want to tell? Like it's a very different thing. And I think that just comes with growing and maturing as a person and an artist as well.
Okay. Well, how many songs right now do you have written and ready to go, but there's something that is holding you back from putting those songs out there? I guess basically what I'm asking is, how many unfinished songs do you have right now?
How much time you got? I have a lot of unfinished hooks. For me, if I get an idea in my head, if I get a hook in my head, a lot of times I have to leave immediately whatever I'm doing and go and write it. And I have written some of my favorite songs, some of my most successful songs, I'd say, in like 30 minutes. But for me, I have a lot of like one-liners and I have a lot of hooks that I haven't found a way to marry them yet, that are just sitting on my phone in voice memos, written down on paper. And I think a lot of times, like I said, I write from experience. And so for me, honestly, things have been going really good in my life. So I haven't been able to channel that same sadness that I normally do when I write. Because usually I write about a really heavy experience I had or like a really painful thing I went through. But things have been going really good. And so I've been trying to write more upbeat, happy songs, but those are harder for me to finish because I'm not used to writing that way. So all my unfinished voice memos are all fun country drinking songs, which is not for me, but I want to write for other people.
Well, okay. In saying that, you have said more than once
Yeah,
growing as an artist.
absolutely.
Do you not see this as another transition period
Always.
to grow more as an artist?
I feel like if you're not viewing everything you put out or everything you write as a next step, you're doing something wrong. You should never be finished.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to finish these songs,
I am.
but what is holding you back? I feel like it's there.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like maybe because it's new, you're just not. You're a little apprehensive.
Yeah. And I think for me, and this is something that, and about me, I'm an open book. So like I will talk about anything and everything, but especially when it comes to me as an artist and me as a person, something that has always been hard for me is I feel like a lot of people don't take me seriously as a performer. People don't take me seriously as a person because I'm very fun and bubbly and outgoing. And I think why it's so easy and so natural for me to write serious, ballad, very personal songs is almost like I'm proving to people that I'm a serious person. And versus whenever I write happy, upbeat songs, it's almost like, oh, that's expected, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. But
Yeah.
there are people out there that don't know you yet. And
Right. Hi, everyone.
there are people that don't know you personally.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting how artists who are where you're at in the business,
Yeah.
how when you look back at the albums they've put out or the songs that they've written, and you can almost see different. It's like some artists have 3, 4, 5 albums out and they're all completely different.
Yeah.
Like one
That's how
song
mine are.
may be not all depressing songs,
Yeah.
but all, kind of dark
Yeah.
songs. And then the next album comes out and it's all upbeat and sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
And then the next album comes out and it's kind of I'm just kind of chill where I'm
Yeah.
at right now. And it's kind of like, why can't we just take 3 songs
Yeah.
here, 2 songs here, a couple songs here, throw them in a blender, mix them up, put them on an album,
Yeah.
a single album, say, hey, if you've never heard of me, check this album
Yeah.
out. And it has a combination of all your moods.
Yeah.
All on
Well,
one.
and that's how I try to write. Because I agree with you. I feel like it also depends on how an artist is writing. Are they writing to get their feelings out, like an artist like me, or are they writing to try to sell the number one? And I think that depends on the certain vibe and style, like you said, like in terms of the songs. But that whenever I'm writing an album, I try to, whether it's on purpose or whether it's just who I am as a person, I try to make the songs tell a cohesive story, but all have a different feeling to them. And so like my last album, Breakup Season, it has some really fun, upbeat songs. But when you listen to the lyrics, you're like, oh, okay. But I also have some that are really personal and intense and just very like my heart is out in the open. And so I want to make sure that when you're listening to an album, especially an album that I'm writing, that you are experiencing what I'm feeling, no matter what that feeling is.
I'm glad you brought that song up, Breakup Season.
Yeah.
Because the first time I listened to that song, I was about halfway through it, and I was like, man, hold on. No. Let me start this over. I must have missed something somewhere. And I sat down and concentrated on the song, and I was like,
really?
this is interesting. Because if you're listening to that song as just background music and you're doing something else, you're going to completely miss, I guess, the true feeling in that song, because it seems like the music didn't really, it wasn't what I expected.
Yeah.
And that's why I had to listen to that song multiple times in a row, and I was kind of like, this is different.
Yeah, thank you.
Compared to some of the other things you've done.
Thank you.
And I was like, you know what? I like this. It seems to be going in a slightly different direction.
Yeah, thank you for saying that.
And I was excited about it. I was like, well, this seems a little different. Let's see what else comes, in behind that song. Let's see, is this, going to be a complete change from earlier stuff that you did? Or is it just kind of like, you know what, I'm going to throw this out there to show you what I can do, but I'm going to stick to my bread and butter.
Yeah.
So speaking of bread and butter, what genre of music would you put yourself in? Because, everyone out there, other than other artists, put musicians and put artists in certain genres.
Yeah.
So what genre would you put yourself in?
I love this question because I never have a good answer. Because I think that the way that I write and the way that I am as an artist is I have so much respect and so much admiration for so many different genres that I feel like I kind of steal a little bit from pretty much anything that I've grown up listening and loving whenever I write. And so I think for me, a good umbrella would just be singer-songwriter, because I take a lot of Americana rock influence. Like, my new album is very folk rock Americana. It's a little more gritty than my last ones, but also I want to make sure that no matter what story I'm telling, that the lyrics of the song are being heard. For me, what makes a song amazing is the integrity of the story and of the lyrics.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think for me, I would be happy with the umbrella term of singer-songwriter, because it means that the song is being amplified more than any genre.
Okay. Well, let's narrow it down a little bit more.
Okay.
What are the top 4 presets on your car radio? What genre of music are those?
It's tough because I feel like what I like to listen to versus what I write are very different. Presets on my car radio, that's tough. I'm not a huge country music fan, but I listen to a lot of country music because the songs are amazing in country music. And I always listen to the Grand Ole Opry station because I can't stay away.
Right.
So Opry for sure. I listen to a lot of classic rock. My dad raised me well, so I listen to a lot of...
Sounds like it.
Yeah, classic rock. And I usually am listening to a singer-songwriter folk type playlist of, especially I listen to a lot of my friends' music. Like, that's usually what I have queued up, is I have a lot of friends that are also local musicians or musicians back home, and I still actively listen to their stuff because we have to support each other out here.
Well, that is true. There's no doubt about that.
And I like show tunes.
Well,
well. I love Broadway. I love theater. So.
Well, that's nothing to be ashamed of.
Oh, absolutely not. But a lot of a big compliment that I get a lot with my music, especially when I'm performing at writers' rounds or things like that. I've had people who are playing around with me who I'll finish a song and they'll lean over and they'll go, "Were you a theater kid? Do you listen to a lot of theater? Your music's very, very theatrical. I love it." And that is a high honor for me if someone says my stuff is theatrical.
Well, looking at some of the videos of you when you were younger, and then looking at the way you perform now, I could definitely see that. I can see how the stage transitions into, I guess, your new stage
Absolutely.
performance.
Yeah.
And
That's where I got my start.
I think, well, I think that's a feather in your hat for sure.
Thank you.
Do you consider yourself an introvert or an outrovert?
I'm very, very shy, as you can tell. No, I'm an extrovert through and through. I always wished that I was more introverted, but I respect that. I'm an open book. I want to be friends with everyone. I want to make sure everyone feels cared for and welcome. And I've always been like this.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And I do recall just now saying outrovert.
I'll take
which
it.
I have no idea where that came from.
I mean,
but
close enough. I knew what you meant. Like I said, I speak Chris.
I'm glad you did because, man, I messed that one up.
I'll forgive you.
Thanks for picking me up on that.
Always.
Well, a lot of musicians consider themselves introverts
Yeah.
until they're on the stage and
Yeah.
that whole other side comes out.
Yeah.
And I think that's a unique quality. But
Yeah.
I enjoy meeting people who say, you know what, I'm an extrovert.
Yeah.
I love being in the middle of everything all the
too.
time. On stage, I'm going to give it 110%. And
Yeah.
when I'm in a crowd, I'm going to talk to everybody, meet everybody, and
Absolutely.
it's a whole different social experience.
Yeah. Well, for me, I'm a very relational person in any way that I can get. I truly, I like to joke when I'm at work at the Opry, I always say my two loves of my life are music and people, and the place that does the best is the Opry, which is true, but that's exactly how I feel. I write songs from my personal experience, yes, but I also, there's a little fly, but I also want to make sure that when people listen, that if they're feeling that way, they know that because I wrote a song about it, they can get out of it. Or if they've experienced the same thing, that doesn't have to be their destination. And so for me, yes, I'm very extroverted, but it is because I care about people and I want everyone to have a seat at the table, and music is a great place to provide that.
Well, do you think your music heals other people? I mean, I assume that you writing your songs heals you because it lets you put your emotion on paper, and then you can go back and look at it and say, should I feel this way?
Yeah.
But you get to experience that emotion two different ways, one by feeling it and another by reading it.
Yeah.
And then putting it into a song where people who aren't talented like you,
Thank you.
we have to rely on, I guess, other outlets.
Yeah.
Can someone, or has someone ever come up to you after hearing one of your songs and say, you know what, that hit me right here.
Yeah.
And I feel that, and I see that I'm not the only one who has felt that. And I see you've recovered from said emotion, and that means something to me right here, right now, this day.
Yeah.
I mean, has anyone ever come up to you and said that, or text you, or, messaged you, contacted you in some way?
They have, yeah. And it's in those moments that I'm reminded of why I do what I do.
Yeah.
Because, like we said earlier, it'd be super cool and awesome if music paid the bills. But at the end of the day, if someone can hear one of my songs and say, hey, that was me, thank you for helping me process this emotion, that means more to me than anything in the world. And I remember very distinctly when I was in college, I played a song, and it's a song that I only played a few times. I workshopped it a few times. It's not a song that I really got a lot out of. It wasn't one that really matched my whole style, but I remember I performed it at a songwriter night, and I had this girl who I had never seen before, but she went to my school, and she came up to me and she was just like, I've never felt more seen than just now. Thank you for saying what I couldn't. And that was 5-6 years ago, and I'll never forget it. And even now, whenever I play gigs, I have people who come up to me afterwards and they're like, this one line of this song really, really hit me. Thank you. And it's moments like that I'm just like, wow, like I have a really cool opportunity here to give someone a chance to process the way that I could by writing the song. And it's a cool opportunity to really, you know, be there for someone in a unique way. And whenever they listen to that song, they can really be like, I remember this moment. And that's something I'll never take for granted. Yeah.
Well, do you think that makes you a better writer when you have those experiences and someone comes up to you and, you know, says, this song really hit me, and then when you sit down to write, do you think that gives you a little more motivation to say, you know what, maybe I'm writing a song, or maybe I'm writing a lyric or a line that I don't know how to put this on paper. I don't know how to transcribe this emotion I'm feeling. Where am I at? Yeah. But I feel I need to put this on paper, and I know in the back of my mind that it's going to work.
Yes.
Because I have those memories of people coming up to me saying, you know what, that song or that line, it's what I needed right now. And maybe you're kind of at a writer's block, and you're like, I don't know where I need to go with this right now, but I know I need to finish it, or I know I need to work that into this other song that may be incomplete. Does that give you more motivation to?
Absolutely. Yeah. And sometimes I feel like when I am hitting writer's block, it's because I'm being too specific, where I'm like, I'm feeling this thing right now, and this is a really specific thing. I don't think anyone else is going through this. And so in moments like that, I do remember those moments where people come up to me and say, like, this one line. And a lot of times those specific lines come from a specific place for me. But for me, sometimes the motivation is to generalize it. And sometimes I'll be like, okay, this is what I'm feeling. Let me kind of put it in this general sense. So that kind of removes my pressure for my own story.
Right.
And I can be like, okay, this is something I'm dealing with, and I think of this with this line, but I know when someone hears this line, they're not going to think of this specific thing this guy said to me 3 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And so sometimes for me, the motivation is to simplify in those moments and be like, the story is there, my drive is there. If I can deliver it and write it in a way that anyone can listen to and find something to pull out of, then that's enough for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think for those who are out there listening to this podcast that either want to be writers or want to be, you know, singer-songwriter or just writers for music, but maybe they feel like they can't do it, or what motivates you to say, you know what, I can do this, I will do this, and I'm going to be successful about it? Because there are so many people out there who may not even be involved in the music industry, but they say, you know what, I think I can write a song.
Yeah.
And they have notes everywhere. like writers do.
Yeah.
They have notes everywhere.
Absolutely.
Like you just said earlier,
My phone is
and
full.
there's people out there who may be great writers, but they just, something's missing, and they're afraid maybe to say, you know what, these are my songs. Here it is, you know, but they haven't had that experience yet. But you have. What would you tell someone out there who thinks they either are or can be a music writer coming from a music writer?
Yeah, absolutely. I think just the biggest thing I can say about the music industry and writing in general is just tell your story and be authentic to who you are, because the right people will find you. It's like, I don't know, do you ever get that feeling when you're like standing in an airport and people are like rushing past you, and you just have that moment where you're like, all these people have families, all these people have a job, all these people work this life that I'll never know about, that's unique to them. I don't know if you ever experienced that, but I think about that when I just see people walking down the street. I'm like, what is their story? I think the biggest piece of advice that I could tell you is that you have a unique journey. You have a unique story. You are your own person. There's no one like you, which sounds cliche, but it's true. And it's like, there's no one like you, and no one is going to be able to give the angle on life that you can.
Yeah.
And so you'll never know if you don't try. And sometimes the biggest roadblock can be yourself, because you're afraid to fail. And best piece of advice I can give you is to fail. Just try. If it doesn't work out, try again. And you'll never know. All it takes in this industry out of 1,000 no's is one yes. And that's advice I have to give myself too, of just keep going. You know, it's not going to happen overnight. Every overnight success you see has been doing this for years.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, just keep going. If you have a story and you are convicted about your story, and you know that it's going to do something good, just keep going and try different things. Meet other musicians, put yourself out there, go to writers rounds, join the Facebook groups, do whatever you can to find a community, because then you'll see you're not alone.
I like that.
Yeah.
And on that note,
more beer.
Yeah, let's jump into this one.
Okay. I just noticed a fly has flown in the sky, so I'm glad we're switching glasses.
Now, we are in Nashville, and it is summertime. There's not much you can do about that around here.
That's okay. I hope you enjoyed it.
I did enjoy that beer. It was, I'm definitely going to have to pick one more of those up.
Yeah.
And
take one of them with you.
try.
For
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
So what do we have here?
All right. This is
your pick.
Yeah, this is a IPA from Glutenberg out of Mount Pleasant, South Carolina.
Oh, nice.
This is a gluten-free craft beer
Exciting.
with millet, buckwheat, and corn.
Exciting.
And I think we ought to just
Yeah.
jump right in and do a quick review and then continue this conversation.
Ooh, this one smells entirely different. These are great questions. Thank you for having me on.
I am having a fantastic time.
Anytime I get to talk about songwriting, I'm like, yes, I'm happy.
And I hope everyone else is enjoying this as much as I am.
Yeah.
The great thing for the reason I do this is so I can learn what it's like being in your shoes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm born and raised in Nashville.
Yeah. That's a totally different experience for you.
And, like I've told other people and said on other podcasts, I've sat in I've been in the studio, I've been backstage, I've done the whole thing because I know a lot of people in the industry, but to watch the way they work, when they work, and then watch them when it's us hanging out, having a beer at their house, talking about, whatever, completely away from, the industry.
Yeah, all the lights.
It almost seems like two different people, so I think what I want to know is what's it like from your personal experience in the industry, and what better way to I guess relax and get a good story than over a couple of beers.
Absolutely.
So that's why I started this podcast, because I enjoy beer.
Thank you for doing it. It's a cool opportunity, and I'm having fun.
All right.
Thanks for thinking of me.
All right. Well, you're welcome. I've really enjoyed this so far.
Me too.
It's only going to get better.
This has lots of foam like the last one, but this one's lighter.
Yes. It is a light gold, a real light gold. I don't know if anybody on camera can see that, but it's a very light
very
gold.
Yellow.
Yeah, it's not hazy, but it's not clear. It's just kind of, it's
like
cloudy.
Lake water.
Yeah. Ooh, lake water, Tennessee.
Yeah. Like bad example, but I think I nailed it.
You got pretty close with that one. All right. Well, let's take a sniff and see what we get off this one.
Ooh, it's very bright compared to the last one. The last one was very, almost one tone, very smooth. This has a lot happening. It's very like.
What are you getting off this beer?
I want to say citrus, but that seems like a basic answer. but it does. It smells, for lack of better terms, because again, I'm not a big beer drinker and I don't have a lot of experience with beers. It's very just like clean smelling. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like it's very bright. It's very fresh. It's very just like, yeah, it's almost citrusy, but not quite.
You don't have to look for the flavors. They're actually there.
Okay.
And I mean, it seems like that's what you're trying to say, is that the flavors are, or the aromas, right?
Yeah.
The aromas are there, and I mean, they're just,
You don't have to go hunting for them.
yeah, and they are very forward, and it actually is citrusy.
Yeah.
It really is citrusy.
Which is that common with IPAs?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe not this.
It's citrusy.
Well, maybe, some, and I've mentioned this
Yeah.
in other podcasts, and I've mentioned it to artists off the mic. I consider breweries and artists very similar.
Yeah.
Because, for example, this is a gluten-free IPA, but it's still an IPA.
Yeah.
But this particular brewery is going to translate their IPA a certain way and make it their own. The same way an artist is
I love that.
going to be in a genre of music,
Yeah.
but they're going to make their own songs and they're going to put their own twist on that genre of
Yeah.
music. And that's what I enjoy about musicians and beer, is that everybody can put themselves in a certain box,
Yeah.
but they're going to do it their way.
Absolutely.
And I like finding out, the different way a brewery does an IPA
Yeah.
or an amber ale or a blonde, or, because it should have a base flavor,
Yeah.
but it's going to be different. So that's,
I like it.
That's why I like to talk about beer and talk about music, because you're going to see it differently than I am.
Yeah.
And that's both music and beer. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, now that we've established that it is pretty citrusy. It does
Yeah.
have a pretty straightforward pineapple.
It does. Yeah, that's what it is. It's like I couldn't pinpoint it.
And it's kind of a dialed back malt. It's not. What are you getting off of it?
No, that is totally different than the last one. Good call. I think if any gluten-free beer that I've had tasted exactly like it smelled, this tastes exactly like it smells. It's very bright. It's very, like you said, pineapple was very forward in this, but that one's nice and smooth.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that one doesn't have the same kind of bitterness the last one did. This one kind of, I think, is a little more sweeter, but it's not like sickening sweet by any means.
It does. It has a level of sweetness to it,
Yeah.
which it should. But it is it's very citrus forward.
It is. It's very bright.
It's a little more on the citrus than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing.
Which, this kind of reminds me of a cider in that sense. Like, this kind of tastes like the gluten-free beer that I've had before, where I was like, it doesn't taste as hoppy or as malty as like that first gluten-free beer that we tried was very like, this tastes like a beer. This is a little more on the lighter side. It's not as heavy, I guess.
Well, it actually has a good IPA flavor to it.
Okay. See, and I've never had beer. I've had it once and I was super sick, so I'm excited to learn about beer in general.
Well, if you enjoy this
Yeah.
particular IPA, and we enjoyed the amber from earlier, I think there's a whole new world out there for you, because there are so many different styles
Yeah.
of gluten-free beer that really come close
Yeah.
to, I guess, having the same profile as the non-gluten-free beer.
Yeah.
And as far as a gluten-free IPA, this is not bad. It's a little more citrusy than what I like,
Yeah.
but it's not bad.
I like it. I would definitely drink this again.
It has a at the very, very end, it has kind of a citrus pith.
Yeah.
It doesn't really lean, grassy or piney.
No, it's very bright the whole time.
Yeah, it does. It does have a good citrus flavor from start to finish.
Yeah.
But it's not overwhelming.
No.
And the malt portion, or what should be the malt portion, is there, but it's subtle.
Yeah.
The way,
It's not super in your face.
the way in my mind a good IPA malt should be. It should be there just enough to kind of clear up and clean up any of the other citrus notes or the piney notes that kind of just pop you, just all of a sudden. But this is a well-made beer.
Good job, Glutenberg.
Yes, they did a good job. I'm happy with this beer.
Yeah, I
really
am
am.
too. We'll drink this again.
It definitely delivers on. It checks all the boxes for me for an IPA. It's.
I know I compared it to lake water earlier, but I would definitely drink this on a boat on a hot summer day, like on the lake. It's a very summery, kind of bright tasting beer.
Yeah, because it does the flavor matches the aroma.
Yeah.
And
I'm
that's what I enjoy about a good beer, or
Yeah.
in my mind, a good beer should. Mm-hmm. But
I definitely appreciate beer more now. I always was kind of a hater.
well, as far as the aroma is there, the flavor is there, the mouthfeel is kind of medium body.
Yeah.
Carbonation, it's got good carbonation. It's not overly done.
No.
It does have a creamy mouthfeel, but it also has a very slight prickly mouthfeel. But, it's not overwhelming like a cola. It's just kind of there.
It's definitely a little more bubbly than the last one, but I like it.
Yeah, and it overall it has a pretty long finish. It finishes mild. It does finish kind of citrusy. For those that aren't fans of citrus IPA, they should probably avoid this one. But
Yes.
overall,
But give it to me.
it's right.
If you don't like it, I'll take it.
You'll take it. All right. Well, man, I'm enjoying this beer.
Yeah,
But-
good call.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So,
course.
let's get back to you.
Okay.
And your music. So,
Sure.
So we've established where you came from.
Yeah.
We've established how you've gotten where you're at right now. And I ask you, the same question, and I ask everybody this,
Yeah.
where do you see yourself in 5 years? Because everyone always has a uniquely different answer
Yeah.
for that. But one of the questions that I don't know if you've ever been asked is, okay, what are you doing right now to get you to the top of the mountain or where you want to be in 5 years? I heard you earlier say that playing the Opry was like the top of the mountain.
Absolutely.
For you. And
Dream.
what are you doing right now today to make that dream happen?
Yeah. I mean, like I said at the beginning, let me back up. A lot of people I feel like don't understand why I do the things that I do. And I kind of like that, but at the end of the day, a lot of people don't get why I work multiple part-time jobs instead of just finding one full-time 9 to 5 or something like that. But for me, the flexibility of part-time allows me to be a musician, allows me to travel and be creative and record my album at the end of the June for a week. Like if I worked a regular 9 to 5, which no hate if you do, I highly respect that. But for me, it's like the multiple part-time jobs that I'm doing is how I can do music and how I can have that flexibility to do it. So for me, what I'm doing right now is working every single day. I don't have a day off, and the days off that I do have, I am playing music. I am working at the Opry, and on my tour, which we're not really allowed to like say like, hey, so and so, like I'm a singer-songwriter, look me up.
Right.
But we have, for me, like the small thing that I'm doing is on my tour that I get backstage, we have a dressing room dedicated just to songwriters. And I always talk about how much I love that dressing room. It's my favorite. And I always make a little note of like, oh, and as a songwriter myself, I think it's pretty darn cool that we have a dressing room dedicated to this. And then at the very end of my tour, I have a lot of people come up to me afterwards and they're like, oh, you're a songwriter? And therefore I have a conversation starter, and I've given my people, a lot of people my card that way. I've been able to show them my music when we're not allowed to promote ourselves as an artist. And so for me, I'm trying to find small ways to just kind of become a familiar face.
Well, do you feel like you have to hustle and grind every single day for your music?
Absolutely.
And do you feel that, what would you tell someone who is thinking about moving to Nashville and saying, you know what, I have a dream to be a writer, musician, singer, all the above. What would you tell that person? What advice would you give them to, say, maybe I learned this the hard way, or maybe I figured this out on my own, or maybe someone told me this too late. What's one piece of advice you would give that person who's on the fence about moving here, because you've been there and you've done it and you've made the move?
It's scary.
Yeah,
but it's
I'm
worth
sure
it.
it is. I'm sure it is. I grew up here, so even the massive growth this city has gone through.
Yeah, it hasn't changed at all, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, not at all. But the massive growth the city has gone through, I could see how someone from a small town would step onto Broadway or Second Avenue and go, oh my God, what have I done?
Yeah.
And now they're just, their mind might be blown, and they're like, uh-oh, I'm here.
Yeah.
I've got to make this work. What is the one thing you would tell that person to say, you know what? You've done the hard part.
Yeah.
You've made the move. Mm-hmm. The easy part is being you.
Yeah.
What would you tell that person to get them kick-started and moving in the right direction?
Yeah. Bet on yourself and take every opportunity. Everything, whether it's something that you see online, whether it's something that you audition for, no matter what it is, bet on yourself. Trust that if this is what you're called to do, that you're going to do it, and take every opportunity. And that's easier said than done. But at the end of the day, all you have is yourself. When you lay your head on your pillow at night, you have to know that you're enough. And that goes for life, that goes for music as well. But I think what's so hard is sometimes to trust that you're doing the right thing. But like you said, the hard part is getting out here. And if you can find your community, if you can stay dialed into what you want, then the sky's the limit at that point. But just bet on yourself and keep going.
Well, do you think that...
It's advice for me too.
Do you think that there is a community in Nashville for each individual writer, each individual musician? And what I hate is that when I run into so many people downtown, well, anywhere in Nashville, that, it's country music town, it's country music town, country music this, that, and the other. And it's like, you know what? There is so much more in this city.
Yeah.
There are so many small venues that cater to,
I love the small venues.
a certain genre, be it R&B, be it soul.
There's a huge jazz community in Nashville.
Yeah, and that's what I don't get. Everyone, I guess the common thought out there is that, oh, if you want jazz, you want R&B in Tennessee, you got to go to Memphis. And
Not quite.
you know, there's so many musicians here
Yeah.
that have moved here from Detroit, Chicago,
Yeah.
you know, to bring the blues, to bring jazz, and they find a community because there is a community in Nashville for that. And there are
Yeah.
writers and producers, and I mean, the whole thing is here. But you know, there are so many people that say, oh no, this is country music town. No, this is Music City.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
and like you said, country's not your bread and butter. It's not your go-to, but
Yeah.
it does have its place.
Absolutely.
And, you know, country music itself can be broken up into
It's
so many
broad.
subcultures.
Yeah.
Or subgenres.
Yeah, you have Americana, you have folk, you have country pop, you have country rap. That's a new thing.
You have mountain music.
Yeah.
You have bluegrass.
Yeah.
You have progressive bluegrass. You have alternative bluegrass.
Yeah.
And it's
There's a
just
seat
like,
at the table for everyone.
oh my gosh, if you can put stuff together and just put country at the end of it, there are people here
Yeah.
that's what they do.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's the diversity in the city for music, and not just music, but art and
Yeah.
video and audio.
There's truly
and
nothing
it's
like
just-
it.
I mean, there's so much in this city, and I want to talk to everybody, you know.
Let's
and
get you on the street, Chris. We'll get you walking
Right.
around with your microphone and interviewing people on the street.
Well, hey,
Bring 'em a beer.
Right.
They'll
I
love
have
it.
no problem doing it. It's probably against the law in certain
No.
places to, you know, stand on the sidewalk and have myself and a videographer, and we're sitting there drinking beers out in front of, you know, this.
Do it in front of Tootsie's or something. They'll love it.
Yeah, but yeah, try to get a spot in front of Tootsie's
Oh,
on
yeah.
the weekend to do an interview.
Absolutely
Yeah,
not.
that's just not going to work.
But no, I think I agree with everything you said. And I think it just comes down to being authentic to who you are as an artist and not trying to follow what's selling. Because the right people will find you if you're authentic to yourself. The right listeners, the right writers. Like if you are who you are as an artist and you're saying, hey, this is what I bring to the table, other people that are like-minded will say, hey, I like that. Here's what I bring to the table. Versus if you're just trying to be someone who's going to sell a bunch of records, then people can see right through that, you know?
Yeah, I have noticed that there are a lot of people in music.
Yeah.
I'm not going to label a genre, but there are a lot of people in music who they're a flash in the pan.
Yeah.
And I mean, they come out of nowhere. They're, you know, they're making big money. They're playing the big shows, the big arenas, and they're just selling out. And well, I say selling out. They're
Selling out.
They're selling out a couple of different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that
I got-
doesn't mean it's good art, you know? You can sell thousands of records and tour stadiums, but people can see right through if that's actually what you care about and if you care about what you're singing, I think.
Well, no, I agree with
I hope.
you. I agree with you. And I've talked to so many people, you know, off mic that they're like, you know what? I don't want to play these big arenas.
Yeah.
Because it would be fun, but it would be too much.
Yeah. Well,
I want to play like you. I want to play the Opry, or
Yeah.
I want to play, you know, I want to sell out these smaller venues,
Yeah.
you know, and they say, you know what, I'm okay with playing these smaller venues.
because there's more intimacy there. You can connect differently. It's not just a bunch of phones and flashlights looking back at you. You can see their faces. You can really be a part of it. Like that I think must be the coolest thing ever, instead of just touring around stadiums, which, I mean, if I ever get to that point, I'm never going to complain about it. But
Right.
I think you have to appreciate the small stages first, you know, and I think that I talk about this a lot with a lot of people, but I feel like my generation especially, or just the way that the world is now, is we are the most connected generation ever with social media, yet we crave authenticity more than ever. And people just want someone to be real, you know? And so I try to be the same person on a stage as I am off of the stage, because I know that people are just looking for someone that says, hey, this is what I've been through. I hope you can relate, you know?
Well, that actually was a question in my little group of questions here. Are you the same person on stage as you are off stage?
Yeah.
You know, hanging out with your friends.
I try to be.
Having
But
a beer.
yeah.
Well, you know, there are a lot of people, good people, who on stage, they're just the life of the party. And just, I mean, you look at them and they're like, man, they are full of themselves.
Yeah.
And then when they're off stage, they're so dialed back and so just kind of like, hey, I'm here. And
Yeah. Well, I think that goes back to the introvert versus extrovert thing we talked about earlier. Like, some people, they love singing, but they don't love performing, or they love writing, they don't love performing. Versus, I think someone who is naturally extroverted might be easier for them to kind of give a stage persona, whether they're on and off of a stage, because they don't, I guess, feel the pressure as much or see the same sort of anxiety as someone who's introverted would. But I mean, sometimes you get caught up in it. It happens to everyone. You're human, you know?
Oh yeah. I've had friends that I was their friend when, you know, garage band or they didn't even have a band. They were just them. And I had a buddy of mine. He's a drummer. He was a drummer and a singer, and we would sit around and it's like, how are you just going to play the drums and sing with no other instruments here?
Wow.
And it's like, you know what, man, let go.
Yeah.
Be you.
Yeah.
Do you, man. Go out there and, you know, the feeling hit. Go out there and do it. And I'm just going to sit here and try to make it make sense in my head, hearing only drums and lyrics, but it's your song.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sitting there listening, and I'm like, if this had a band, that, you know, or even just a guitar or something, it would be awesome. And you know, that's when I've followed these same people to the point where they actually have people doing their social media for them.
Yeah.
And they have people buying their clothes. I mean, that's stuff that, you know, so many people say, oh, this is what I want. And I've watched that transition, and I look at that person now and I'm kind of like,
I don't know you.
I mean, we're still friends, but
I'm
not sure I want to hang out with you because you're not you.
I think it goes back to what are you trying to get out of making music? Is it, like I said earlier, is it you care about the stories that you tell and the art and how it affects people? Or do you just want to be on the next biggest stage and chart, which, I mean, that's fine if that's your goal, but at least, you know, be honest about it, I guess.
Well, who do you think you have staying power in music? And when I say staying power, I'm not saying, oh, you're going to produce 25, you know, studio albums and, you know, you're going to do multiple big tours around the country, around, you know, the European Union,
which
things
would be
like
cool.
that. Yeah. But I mean, do you feel like you have staying power in music, be it writing, performing, musicianship?
Yeah.
Do you feel like music is going to be your career no matter what?
Yeah, I think I've always felt that way. I've always known what I wanted to do, and I've always been kind of broad about what I wanted with music. I've always known that I'm going to do something with music. I know that my whole life I've just wanted to be an entertainer. I've known that forever. And so for me, it's kind of like I don't have a plan B. I'm like, whatever avenue this looks like, whether it's teaching full time or whether it's a touring artist, like, or whether it's working backstage at the Opry forever, like, no matter what it is, I know music will always be a part of who I am because it always has been. It's just how I am. And I know that this is what I'm supposed to do. And I think what's really beautiful is I'm at this certain point in my career where I'm starting to finally get some sort of traction, which I've never really had before.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where I'm like, I have no idea where this is going to go or what it looks like. And that's really exciting to me because I know if I just keep doing what makes me excited, what makes me passionate, what I know affects, I have my little group of fans and listeners that I know people, they come to all the shows, they know all the lyrics, and I love those people so much. And as long as they keep showing up and I know that what I'm doing matters to them and matters to me, then I'm happy no matter what the success looks like.
Well, do you feel like you give 100% when you're on stage?
Always. I leave everything out there every time because I see it as a gift, because like I have been here almost 3 years, like officially been here 3 years, like moved out of my parents' house, lease, all that stuff. And I just played my first ticketed show this year after being here for 3 years. And so I'm like, for me, I just want to keep going and keep seeing where that's going to go. And,
right. Do you feel like, you're climbing the ladder slowly?
Yeah.
Or I don't want to say slowly, but do you feel
it
like,
is slow.
do you feel like, okay, so it is slow. Do you feel
Yeah.
like you're on a continuous upward motion, or do
Yeah.
you feel like maybe you've picked up a little momentum? And do you what have you had to sacrifice, or what have you had to do to gain that momentum?
Yeah.
What has gone through your mind? What have you had to deal with to keep pushing to get that ticketed show that you alluded to?
Yeah.
I guess I'm saying, what got you there?
Yeah.
And what are you doing to move to the next step?
Yeah. I feel like my whole music career has been a lot of sacrifice. It's been a lot of my parents' sacrifice, a lot of my family's sacrifice. Like, my parents worked so hard for me to be out here. Like, they have always been my number one supporter. They've always been like, we know that somehow, somewhere you're going to do it, and we're going to support you any way that we can. And so for me, they've worked really hard and they've sacrificed a lot so I could chase my dreams. And I've sacrificed a lot too. Like, I have given up a lot of social stuff. I work constantly. Like I said, I don't get a day off. And when I do, it's just to like sleep and do laundry and stuff. But for me, it's all worth it. I've always known what I want. And I feel like if you're not always growing or always learning or always looking for that next thing, then you might be missing out on something really cool. And for me, like, I just finished the crowdfunding campaign for my album. I'm working with a studio in Boston. Like, I'm doing a lot of things that I never thought I would do if I didn't, like I said earlier, take a chance on myself and be like, I might bring something cool to the table. I have to trust that if this is what I'm supposed to do, people are going to tune in,
Right.
So,
well,
yeah.
Because I feel like, in everything, in music, in video, and anything entertainment-wise,
Yeah.
that I feel like, at least for me in this podcast, I work a couple of jobs.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time, working on someone else's dream.
Yeah.
And those may not be my dreams. I have a dream.
Yeah, what are your dreams, Chris?
Well, honestly, if I could, like you, if I could do this and I could make this make money.
Yeah.
And, I make enough money to pay for the lease of the space.
Yeah.
Upgrade the equipment, get better cameras, get better mics, get a better setup.
Yeah.
If I could make enough money to cover those expenses,
Yeah.
to cover, the post-production work. And if I could have this podcast pay for itself and maybe pull, just a little bit off the back end for myself, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
If I could make this podcast actually make me a living, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm doing it for fun.
Yeah,
I mean,
we're in the same boat.
For me to do this podcast and actually get it out there costs me money.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with that because I'm able to pay my bills. I'm able to have a little bit of a life out there. Yeah, I would like to be more social and get out there and do more things, but...
Yeah, I don't hang out with people. I want to, but a lot of times for me, it's like either I hang out with this friend or I play a writer's round where someone might hear me for the first time. And it's like, I hate that that's a choice I have to make, but I've been working multiple part-time jobs since I was 15 to do this. So it's like, my choice is easy, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, well,
with your podcast.
For you to be true to yourself and true to your art, that's not even really a choice.
No.
I mean, when those are your only two options, it's like, I don't even have to think about this. I'm obviously going to do this because it's what I have to do.
And I'm so grateful that the people that are in my life who know me and understand me and know where I'm trying to go, I have the most amazing support system ever, where if I'm like, hey, I'm playing a writer's round, I can't go to this thing, they'll say, okay, we're going to hang out and then we'll come see you play, And so it's like, it makes it all worth it in the end. And I know that where I'm going is somewhere bigger than myself, and I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm really excited for the journey to be there.
That's awesome. I like that point of view. And do you think having that support system helps you through maybe those times when you kind of step back and just say, what am I doing?
Yeah.
What is really going, what have I done for the past month?
Oh my
Because
gosh, yes.
It just kind of seems like it's just been boom, 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 go, 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 go. Oh my gosh, it's the 30th. Man, I remember this month just start.
Exactly.
What happened to the last
Never
30
ends.
days?
Yeah.
What have I missed? Or, do you kind of have that anxiety, or at least for me, I have that anxiety of, did I miss something important because I've been so consumed with other things? What, do you think that support system, you can kind of lean on them and say, they got me.
Absolutely.
If there's anything out there that I need to attend or I have to be at, they'll be like, hey, I know you got this thing, but I really think you ought to come do this thing. But, we support you. You got to do you.
Yeah.
Do you think that is pivotal in someone in your position?
Yeah. It's a weird thing because the career that I've chosen, which every day I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, it's a very me forward thing, which I hate that it is. It's very putting yourself out there and doing this. And it's very easy to get caught up in it and be, like you said, like, did I miss this thing because I was doing this? And like very caught up in your own stuff. But like, I talk to my mom on the phone every single day. My mom is my best friend. And the amount of times that I have called her and just been like, what am I doing out here? Like, I miss this thing, or I'm feeling super lonely, and like, what am I doing? I'm waiting for my big break. The amount of times that my mom has been like, I ask myself the same thing, but then I see you on a stage and it reminds me that you're out there for a reason and I miss you, but you have to keep going. So it's good pressure that I'm given, and it's an honor to have that pressure, And so for me, my support system is everything. And I would not be out here if I didn't have people back home and people in my life saying, you have to do this. Like, this is what you're supposed to be doing. And it's a good reminder for myself when I get caught up and when I get frustrated and when I'm like, why am I out here? Like, there's everyone, the person giving you coffee in the morning, the waiter, everyone's a musician. What do I bring to the table that they don't? But when I have those few people in my life that can say, hey, you're onto something, keep going, it makes me want to do even better for them. So I think a support system of any kind, whether it's a partner, whether it's your family, whether it's friends, no matter what it is, like the life of a musician can get really lonely really quick. And so if you don't have those people in your life, it can be really hard. And so I'm grateful that I finally have a really solid support system that show up to my shows and are there when I'm like, hey, I just wrote a song. Do you want to come hear it? And they'll come, and there's nothing like it. And so it's really important to not do this journey alone. And that goes for knowing other musicians as well.
Do you feel like that is a huge driver for you? And I say that, do you feel like, and we've discussed this earlier, where you may have an unfinished song or maybe even an emotion on paper, and you're like, and it's always there in the back of your mind. It's like, man, I got to do something with this.
Yeah.
There's something there, but I just can't find it. But you have that core group.
Yeah.
And then maybe you think to yourself, you know what? I'm going to sit down. I'm going to dedicate the next 3 hours to figuring out what is in the back of my head about this line or this unfinished song. And I guess what I'm asking is for those out there who may be struggling and asking the same questions you did. It's like, why am I here? What am I doing? What,
life's biggest question.
But for musicians and for people, entertainers who chase their dreams, move out of state, to come to Nashville. I luckily, by the grace of God, I was born in this city, and I think it's an amazing place. And
it is.
I really don't ever see myself living anywhere other than here.
Me neither.
But, I haven't had to. I grew up here. Everything is normal to me. I can walk downtown and see the lights and hear the music and see, and, it's just another day in Nashville. But for those who don't or haven't experienced that, and they chase a dream like you did. Do you think finding a support system of a core group of people that see you on your worst day and say, you know what? No. Get up, wipe your face off, put that smile on, go wait tables, go serve coffee, go, valet cars. I mean, it's not what you want to do, but it pays the bills.
Right.
And for creatives like you, it may not be easy to go do, I'm not going to say medial job, but it's not.
I like to say they're not my forever jobs.
Right. And for those who, move to Nashville and get those jobs, do you think that, and they're like you, they say, you know what, I'm not going to be doing this in 2 years. I'm doing this to get to the next step. Do you think the core group of people help drive you, and you sit back and say, you know what, I'm going to give this job 6 more months and then I'm quitting no matter what. So I have 6 months to either really hustle and grind and get something going, or I move on to my next endeavor, whatever it may be. Do you feel like having that core group of people that just see you on your worst day, that they kind of push you when you hit those points? Do you feel like they're the ones that drive you?
Yeah, absolutely. I know for me, I'm in a unique position because my whole life, my role models, my parents have always been sacrificial and self-sacrificial, because they always saw the better thing around the corner. And they always had the same perspective of, this is just temporary because we're going here. And so it's really important to have people in your life who see that, who, whenever you get caught up in the disappointment of the world of a musician, it's not fabulous lights and performing all the time. Like, it's lonely. It's hard knowing that you are the tiny fish in a giant sea of amazing people. How are you supposed to stand out? And so, yeah, I think having a support system, especially of other musicians, of people who can say, hey, I'm doing the same thing you are. You know, like I have a friend of mine, an acquaintance. She is a deli. She works in a deli by day, and she played Bonnaroo just a few weeks ago. And it's like music, she wants it to be her full time, and she went on tour. She's doing all these amazing things, but she's still working in a deli, you know? And it's one of those things where it's like, it's important to have people that are like-minded, who can see your goal and appreciate your goal, and who can say, hey, I know that this is hard, but you're doing the right thing. You're on the right path. Your bills are being paid, so you can pursue this. And so make sure that you surround yourself with people who have that same goal as you and who can appreciate what you're doing and don't make you feel bad about chasing your dreams. So, yeah.
Do you think that there is a group here in Nashville for everyone who is true to themselves, and it's not just, oh well, I'm going to try this. They move here with, I'm going to do this attitude. Do you think there is a support group here for those people?
Yeah. I mean, game recognizes game. So sometimes when you're out playing or when you see someone, you can tell when someone has that fire in their belly, and when someone is like, I'm in this. And those are people that I want to be around. And other people who have that same drive are drawn to that. And those are the people you want to write with. Those are the people you want to headline with. Those are the people that are going to bring a crowd because they are all or nothing.
Yeah.
And so there is and one thing I will say, let me back up, that I learned about Nashville, because when I first moved here and when I was super scared to move here, because I assumed it was cutthroat all the time, and it was like you get a chance and then you could be blacklisted, or there's not opportunity for everyone. But like I said earlier, if you find your people, if you are true to yourself, you'll find your audience, you'll find your listeners, you'll find your style. And that's something that I've never experienced anywhere else, because I always assumed that Nashville was kind of crowded in the sense of the same people come here and the same musicians and the same stuff, but there's room at the table for everyone here. If you are true to yourself and you are making the music and the art that you want to put out, then the right community of people will be there to say, hey, I hear you, I see you, I want in. And that's something that I have recently discovered this year by doing writers rounds and being involved with things like that, of like, hey, we're all on each other's team here. We all want each other to do well. There's no one who has it out for me, Yeah.
And do you think that your anxiety level drops when you find that, that the music industry, it can be cutthroat, and it can be brutal and just
absolutely,
the horrible, for lack of a better term. But at the same time, maybe it's the way you approach things. Maybe you made some bad decisions and you got mixed up in some things that either one, you weren't ready for, or two, you're just like, wow, I shouldn't have done that at all. And I knew better. But I've heard so many people who have been here for years that just, I hate the music industry. It's nothing but bad people and this and that. And I found out that they're not for the artists, so on and so forth. Yeah, that music is a business. And you have creatives and you have business people.
Yes.
And maybe a lot of times they don't play well together, but everybody gets what they want in the end.
Right.
But at the same time, there are people in Nashville that will support you as a creative and who will,
absolutely,
make you grow as a creative, be it a writer, singer, musician, whatever the case may be. It's just not so mainstream because it's not business.
Right.
It's a lot of people see the music business as, okay, you have your people that make the money and you have the people that sing the songs, and there's not really any
Takes a village.
you know.
Takes a village.
Yeah, and there's so many people here that do so many different things to make it all work. But there's very few people that get the credit for the music video,
Big
for
time.
the engineering of the song, the producer of the song, all the people who don't win the major award, or maybe who do win the awards, but it's not televised nationally because who cares about, the writer?
Yeah.
We only care about the engineer, the producer, and the singer because that's what the public is buying. They're not buying, watching the writer get who is this guy or who is this girl. I mean, okay, they wrote a song, good. I don't know. I don't know them.
Yeah.
This is a person, I watched their music video. This is a person that I want to see. So the people who are in the trenches, those, at least what I found, those are the genuine people.
Absolutely.
The people that you do want to lean on.
Yeah.
The people who would tell you straight up, man, I'd go this way, or you know what, I wouldn't have done that if I was you.
Yeah.
But you've done it. Now own it. Just don't do it again.
Yeah, exactly.
And I need people in my full-time job to, teach me because that you're always growing.
Right.
And
you have to be.
I need people who help me with this podcast to say, you know what, I don't think I would have said that, or you know what, let's not go down that path again. Let's kind of avoid that subject matter because, the people out there consuming the podcast or the video, that's not what they want because that, or maybe you leaned on this subject matter a little too long. Let's kind of break it up or something.
Yeah. And
I feel like even though it's my podcast, if I want to be successful, I can't come in here with a I'm right and I'm going to do it my way attitude.
No, yeah.
There are people out there that win every day who have thousands of people consume everything they do.
Yeah, but they started right here.
Right. And I feel like I have a support system here for me.
Yeah.
For my particular craft where maybe, Nashville's not known for this, but there are enough people in this city who have enough experience in audio, video, marketing, everything for all styles of entertainment.
Yeah.
More so than just music, but Nashville's known as Music City. So it's put in this little glass. And it's just music. Well, no, there's so much more.
Music is more than just music.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a business.
It is.
A business can't be just one single solitary thing. There's so many nuances to making any business.
And I feel like a lot of it's about perspective in general. And like you said, like if you go in assuming everyone's out to get you and everyone's an enemy, then everyone's going to be an enemy. But if you go in saying like, okay, this is a person that I do want in my circle, or hey, this might not be a person that I want in my circle that you can learn and grow from, and that's a totally different perspective of everyone's against me. Why am I not doing well or succeeding versus, that might not have been the space for me. Let me find a new one.
All right. And in summation, what is the one piece of advice you would give, or what is the one piece of advice you've been given that you would want to pass on to someone else in your position?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess just to wrap things up, the best piece of advice that I could give you is, like I said earlier, just take a chance on yourself, because you can have an amazing support system and all these people that believe in you and people that listen to your music and show up to the shows. But if you don't think that you're capable of succeeding, then you won't. So I think best piece of advice that I could give you is to keep going even when you can't see the other side, because you don't know what sort of story is already written for you at the other end of it.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up.
Yeah.
Had a couple of really good beers.
Yes.
So, guys, I'm going to leave you with this. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can have this conversation again.
I would love that.
And
Anytime.
maybe dive into a few more unique beers.
Yes.
All right. Well, this is Chris Schramm signing off.
The rain's coming down.